Oh my gosh. So I just want to start off by saying congrats on the new season of Married at First Sight. It's a new season on Peacock. We're back. We have all these new couples and some plot twists. So can you tease what we'll get to see this season?
Wow. I think the biggest thing, first of all, it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm so excited for this new season. Probably one of the biggest things, and if you've already seen a little bit of it,
Mhm.
uh, you'll notice that we're kind of expanding our borders a little bit in terms of demographics.
Yes.
So that's very exciting. We've been getting so many requests uh, to look at couples who are, a little more mature.
Yes.
And so we're definitely tiptoeing in those waters, and I think that the result is just fantastic.
No, and fans are obsessed so far. I was looking at Twitter and looking at reactions, and fans are so excited to see some older couples on this
Yeah.
season. What do you think it is about these different ages and relationships that's so intriguing to watch as a viewer?
First of all, what's really intriguing, especially about the older couples, is that not only do you have the couples, but now these are people who have experienced life. They have a whole different perspective on love. Most of them, all of them actually, have been married before, and they have adult children.
Mm-hmm.
And so that brings a whole new dynamic where, you have these adult children and their parents are getting married, and it brings in a whole new, just different conversations and different perspectives. I think it's just a great imitation of what real life looks like. It's this is how life looks.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who gets married are not just young people. And I think people are excited, especially older people, to see, hey, look, there's a possibility for me to find love again too. So that's so exciting.
And speaking of adults and their adult children, I know there's even more plot twists. Jalen, she walked down the aisle, but also her mom, Belinda, walked down the aisle. What do you think of that? And have you gotten a lot of mothers and daughters or fathers and sons who have both applied to be on the show? How did this come to be?
This is probably, I'm pretty sure I can say this is probably the first that we've ever gotten mothers and daughters or
Mhm.
fathers and sons to apply. It just happened that way. It wasn't planned. We didn't go out, looking for this. But Jalen, who's one of I'm not supposed to say favorites, but she's one of my favorites.
She's so sweet to watch. Like I
She's
love
such
her
a
relationship.
sweetheart, isn't she? She is such a sweetheart. And so we are. I was so happy to find a match for her. And then as we were talking, her mom was also just as lovely. We said, well, you know what? Let's just put this on the back burner to see what happens. And as we went along, her personality was just so appealing that we said, okay, fine. Let's see if this will work. And so we did. We put it out there, and it was like, wow, she's just as her. We see why the apple didn't fall far from the tree.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because they both are just lovely people.
There was a little bit, I mean, maybe it was just me. I would have thought this was awkward in episode 4, where all the ladies were talking about their experiences with their husbands, and they were talking about hooking up, and I was like, I can't imagine having that conversation with my mother. What do you like? What did you think of that?
That's so, I know. In most circumstances, that would be so weird, to talk like
Yeah.
that in front of your mom. Their relationship, though, has always been so open and honest, which is one of the reasons we chose them
Hmm.
because they're very open. Their hearts are exposed, and so I think that in most situations that would be a little strange, but for them, it seemed very natural.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
seems very natural, and hopefully that will also just open some doors for people who may not be able to discuss those intimate things with their parents. We always hope that in each episode, people can find something that they can relate to. And in this episode, what is so special, and going forward, is that we have parent-child relationships that we're hoping that some of the things that come out of their relationship will be an encouragement to some of the viewers who may be having some struggles in those areas.
No, definitely. I love that idea. I also wanted to ask after the first 4 episode dropped, are there any red flags that you're seeing so far? I was a little bit nervous after hearing Megan and Derek's conversation in episode 4 on the honeymoon. Things were seeming a little bit awkward between them.
Yeah, look, everybody's going to have they all this is going to be an interesting season. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Um, so yes, this is not uncommon though. At the beginning, during the honeymoon phase, as you know, you've seen the show. Sometimes people overthink, and they sometimes think themselves out of a good thing, or they can potentially. And in their situation, they both are so accomplished. They both have so much going for them, and I think they're matched so well that I think sometimes you look and say, okay, this is too good to be true. And so they start thinking, and well, I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like this. What I tell them is just trust the process.
Mhm.
Just trust the process and trust the fact that we've done all the heavy lifting, as far as matching you is concerned. Just stay with the process and watch what happens. So I'm just hoping they just don't think themselves out without giving you too
Okay.
much advance notice. They're going to talk themselves and get too far into their heads, but I believe it's going to be okay.
Well, we'll have to keep watching to see what unfolds with them. But I also wanted to talk about Brittany and Will. They seem to have some communication issues in that episode. What did you think watching that?
Yeah, Brittany and Will. She's a sweetheart. Will. The one segment where he's sitting down talking to her father, and they're talking about religion,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
he goes into this philosophical, diatribe about the Crusades, and I'm just sitting there. I'm saying, some of this we're seeing also. I mean, we lived it all, of course, but some
Mm-hmm.
of it is like, oh God, I remember that. I told him to just keep it simple. Just you don't have to do all that. You're trying to make a good impression. But he's such a smart guy, and sometimes he just talks a lot. So the whole thing is just reeling him back. But I love the way their love story unfolds throughout the season. I think you're going to really enjoy seeing how they relate to each other. They're all always bumps and bruises, but you're going to like the way their love story unfolds as well.
What advice would you give to couples who, or to Brittany and Will, people who are facing these types of like communication issues? It seems like there was like they were both trying to communicate something, but it wasn't coming across maybe the right way.
Yeah, that there's a reason that you have one mouth and two ears, and it's because you should listen twice as much as you talk. And I think that with them, as we go forward, and as you'll see, we counsel them to, first of all, listen to what the other person is saying and don't respond just out of rebuttal. Don't listen to respond. Listen to gain knowledge. And that's what I would tell anyone, that anytime you're communicating with someone, your first and foremost objective is realizing that this is an opportunity for me to learn about this person. Not for me to rebut or to just, attack everything they're saying, but learn. And if you really want marriage, and if you really want it to blossom as it can, use every conversation as an opportunity to learn. This person is being vulnerable with you, so say to yourself, "Look, this is a great opportunity. This is a vulnerable moment. I'm going to learn everything they can and shut up. I'm going to shut up and listen. And then after it's all over, then I'm going to respond only on what I've heard, not from a rebuttal perspective, but just letting them know what I can do to make sure that it's a safe place for them to express themselves."
See, this is why you're my favorite professional. You have the best advice. I love that. Now,
Thank
I
you.
also one couple who seems to be off to a really good start is Jalen and Josh. Now, he sometimes I feel like when fans watch the show, we're like, is everyone really that committed? And I feel like he really showed he was committed when he pulled out that rock in the most recent episode. I was like, wow, that is a great
Um,
ring. What did you think watching that?
I was so impressed. I was like, oh, Josh, that's my dude.
He's
Josh,
committed.
first of all, he's committed. He's so vulnerable. He's so honest. And whereas some people might look at that as him being a little too emotional, it's perfect for her because she wants someone with that kind of emotionality.
Mhm.
And the fact that he is committing himself like that, I think, look, I've always told people if you're going to be married, you have to do things that married people do. If you're going to have a successful marriage, you have to do those things. Buying, or look, we give them a budget for a ring, but
Mhm.
no, when you go over and beyond that, and you buy a rock like that, it states volumes.
Hmm.
It says, look, I'm committed to this and I'm putting my money where my mouth is. You
Yeah.
know, I want this to work. And I think that as you go on, you're going to see that they both make these steps up towards commitment. But we'll see what happens. But they are so lovely together. They
No,
really are.
I totally agree. Now I also wanted to ask, I know that we want all the couples to have a happily ever after, but obviously sometimes in the show things don't end up working out. What advice would you give to any of the couples if they were to end up calling things off?
Yeah. Well, it's just that the one thing that I would say is that, you know what, a failed relationship does not equate to being a failed person.
Hmm.
I look at it, I call it like the first pancake. I don't know if you're familiar with this. You
I'm
know,
not.
the first pancakes, if you've ever cooked pancakes, that first pancake is the one that's messed up. You
Oh my gosh,
know?
that's so funny. I know this is not on topic, but I always like the first pancake. Maybe I'm just a random person. I always like
No,
that.
it may be because the pan is too hot, so it's a little burned, it's a little crumpled, it's something, but you're testing it for the others. I
Okay.
want them to understand that look, their previous relationships were the first pancake.
Okay.
Okay, not this one. And hopefully, all the lessons that they've learned from their previous failures and what have you, that this is that they prepared them for this. And even if this does not work out, it does not mean you're a failure. It means that this is a learning ground. This is an opportunity for you to take all that you learned here, success and failure. Failure does not mean that you failed as a person. It
Mhm.
simply means you've had a hard lesson to make you better going forward. And so I'm hoping that that's what they can get out of it if they don't make it.
Yeah. 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 We're going to have to tune in to see what happens with that. Um, Now, I also wanted to ask, what do you think sets this season of Married at First Sight apart from past seasons of the show? Besides the obvious like age difference that we have in some of the people on the show.
Yeah, well, one is that our new network,
Hmm.
being with Peacock, I believe is bringing a new perspective.
Hmm.
Uh, I think a new production flair. The show feels different, and I think that that's going to be exciting for people to
Hmm.
see. That there's just a new perspective. Whenever you have other people who look at something and say, you know what, let's look at it from this direction or that direction. I think that what the viewers are going to see, wow, this is it's 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 a little more I hate to say anything negative about the past, but it's just a little more it's a prettier look.
Hmm.
That's in
Hmm.
my opinion. But in addition to that, as far as the couples are concerned, there's a maturity just all around, not just only with the older couples, but there's a maturity that I really like in this season. They're coming to this with a lot more, there's a lot more weight that they're putting on the relationships, a lot more gravitas that they're
Hmm.
coming to their relationships with. We've had seasons in the past where that have been, a
Yeah.
little dicey. We're not going to go there, but with this season, I think they're coming with a lot more respect for the union of marriage and a lot more seriousness
Hmm.
about it. So I'm really excited about where it's going. And Austin, of course, is just a beautiful city,
Hmm.
and I so enjoyed being there. So I believe that this is going to be one of our, and I've said this before, but this time it's true. This is going to be the best season we've had
Well,
up to this point.
I'm feeling the same way. I was feeling really excited when I saw Josh buy that ring. I was like, okay, this is commitment. I don't know, something about it. I was like, okay, he's really in this. It's not just
Yeah.
like in past seasons, like maybe they weren't there for the right reasons, but these people seem like they're there for the right reasons, which I love to see because I love a love story. Like I love Jamie and Doug back in the day. Like they're still together. Like I love this.
Everybody loves them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yes. So we're excited about it. I think that this is going to be this is going to be epic. It's going to start hopefully a whole new paradigm, for the show. So we're
Mhm.
excited about it.
Definitely. Now, this show has been through a lot through the seasons with different couples. Looking back at past seasons, what do you think was the most OMG moment on the show?
Oh my
There's been a
gosh.
lot.
Oh my gosh, Stephanie, there's so many. One is the Runaway Bride.
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
I think that was Denver. Uh,
Yeah.
I hate saying the D word, but Denver.
That season was that was an OMG season.
That was an OMG season.
Yes.
Probably that was one of the most difficult. I can pick that season out of all of them and say that was probably one of the more trying seasons that we've had.
Hmm.
The whole cast, and the misdirection and the
Hmm.
coming together to it was just it was OMG.
Yeah.
That's that whole season was. Yeah.
I also think for me as a viewer, I know I keep talking about Jamie and Doug, but I feel like their wedding day when she first saw him, that was an OMG moment for me. Like that was a fun OMG. Well, maybe not fun because she was crying, but fun because we know how it ended, you know?
That's a great one. You're absolutely right. And I use that quite often when I'm talking to couples, especially on the show, that Jamie, to her credit, she was almost in fetal position after the wedding. But just on the floor, just oh my God, he's not my type. What am I doing? But what I loved about that also is that he wooed her and he loved her into loving him.
Hmm.
And I think that that was the most beautiful thing about that was that yes, she did have to flip the switch, but had he been anyone else than the person that he was, it never would have worked. But he was patient, he was kind, he was loving, he was accepting of rejection. He
Hmm.
accepted her rejection and waited for her to get to where he knew she could be.
Hmm.
It's just a beautiful love story.
Well, hopefully, we're going to see more beautiful love stories unfold this season. I'm feeling optimistic after watching this first 4 episodes. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is one of my favorite seasons so far. I'm so excited.
See?
Yes.
Yes.
And I agree with you about the production value. It looks so beautiful. Like I love how it was shot. But could you describe the season, the rest of the season, in 3 words?
In 3 words, the first would be um, the first probably would be roller coaster.
Okay.
Yes, there's so many ups and downs. The second would be probably spicy.
Okay.
And, and the third would be successful.